I can cry and then like pick myself up and be a boss ass bitch 2 seconds later.
Right. What advice do you have for moms that also struggle with anxiety and depression?
I had a thing for bad boys.
Yeah, you had something to prove.
I really did.
I'm so happy you did that. Yeah. What do you think is the hardest part about raising a preteen or a teenager? Okay, let's talk about co-parenting.
That's a funny one. That's funny.
You're being called a racist, but you're raising a biracial daughter.
It was a lot. It was like racist, cultural appropriator, white savior.
Hi, guys, and welcome back to the OnlyMoms podcast. I am so excited because today we have the one and only Rachel Roff, someone I am extremely excited to have on the podcast for many reasons, but one mostly because I've gotten to know you so well within, I'd say, the last year. We really have kind of dove in and created this little friendship together. And so let me tell y'all a little bit about this powerhouse. Rachel began her career as an esthetician and laser tech in 2004.
Something like that.
Holy
a long
shit.
time ago.
Founding Urban Skin Solutions in 2006, one of the industry's first medical spas specializing in treating skin of color. In 2010, she launched Urban Skin RX, an exclusive skincare line which has been used by celebrities like Tiana Taylor, SZA.
Come on, girl.
I should know that.
My daughter, that's like her, she's like obsessed
Is she?
with her. Yes.
Okay, all right. I got to get with it. And more. In 2019, she sold the spa to a physician, as well as achieved a notable 8-figure investment for Urban Skin RX, which to this day is available in over 5,000 retail doors, including Target and Ulta Beauty. Rachel recently retired from her position as CEO of Urban Skin RX to focus on family, mentorship, and preparing for her next business venture. Welcome to OnlyMoms.
Thank you. You know, I was so jealous when the first season came out and you didn't make space for me. So you're lucky I even said yes because I was salty.
Girl, don't be salty. You know I was pregnant and crazy. That doesn't even count.
That's funny.
Right? I feel like my team put it all together and I was so grateful. And then by the time we grasped your attention and were about to book, I was about to pop.
I remember. Yeah.
And Kristen pulled me aside and she's like, so I understand the marketing behind wanting to go into labor on air. She's like, but I don't think this is good for your health.
Oh, God. I was the same way. I worked till like the last day of both of my pregnancies.
Really?
And went back just like you both times. Think Emil, my 1-year-old, within 3 weeks, and Rosie, I think at 4 weeks.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. Was pregnancy easier the second time?
No, it was actually harder.
Harder.
Yeah.
Do you think that was because, I mean, every pregnancy is different, but you were obviously having a boy, which Rosie is a girl, your first child.
I don't know. The first one, I was really sick to my stomach, like threw up a million times a day, lost a lot of weight. But then once I got past that, it wasn't bad. And with Emil, threw up a lot like that, but my body just hurt so much until like the last minute. It was like,
wow.
Yeah, it was, I don't know if it was age or what, but I was like in pain all the time.
We just interviewed the CMO of SNU, and she is pregnant currently, and I think she's 41, 42, and she calls it her grandma pregnancy.
Yeah, that's how I felt. Totally. And I had fire crotch. Do you know what fire crotch is?
Oh, yeah, because I'm a runner, and so I had to finally stop when I started getting that.
Oh, my God. Switch. Yeah, I would be like walking, like holding my belly, like hunched over, trying to keep, I guess, his head from hitting that nerve and making it feel like a knife was going up my vagina. Oh. Yeah, it was fun.
So one reason I'm really excited to have you here is because if you go online and you Google and you look up and you listen to and read all of the interviews you've done in the past, it's just so centric around you being this boss ass bitch, which you are.
I don't know about the bitch part.
Okay, you're not a bitch, but you're just such a boss, and I feel like everyone knows the business, Rachel. And I almost want to peel back the onion and talk about your journey as a mother, what that has been like while you've built such a giant empire, building, stepping out of, right? Like all of the things.
Totally.
Yeah. And I think one thing that's important that I want to have the conversation first that a lot of people may not know about you is that you do struggle with anxiety and depression.
Yeah, no, horrible. I actually go to this place in Charlotte called the Center for Anxiety and OCD.
Oh, wow.
Uh-huh. Yep.
What do you do there?
It's like a counselor that specializes more in those arenas. You would think that all counselors should, but I actually have been pretty happy going there. I mean, it's just kind of like go there and blurt out all my crazy worries that I'm obsessing over, and she just kind of helps me talk me off of a ledge for the week, and then I go back next week and do it again.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's it like parenting through anxiety and depression?
It can be a lot, especially in today's day and age. Like, I do struggle with a lot of anxiety about like school shootings, to the point that I actually donated the exact amount of a salary for her school to hire an armed guard.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And I would say, and then just like pairing the depression part, I think the first, maybe Rosie's 12, almost 13, probably up until about 3-4 years ago, I had this thing where I did not want her to see me cry, because I just didn't ever want her to worry. And then I felt like I was doing her a disservice, because the world is really hard, and she's going to cry and she's going to feel it. But I also needed to set the example of like, I can cry and then like pick myself up and be a boss ass bitch 2 seconds later.
Right. Welcome to season 2 of OnlyMoms. And I can't kick things off without giving a little treat to all of my favorites. So if you're new here, I founded a winery, co-founded actually with my business partner, Kristen Taylor, called MomJuice. And we're all about keeping the bullshit out of wine. So not only do we slap our ingredients on the back of the label, but we are also gluten-free, vegetarian. Yeah, not all wine is vegetarian, okay? You might just be drinking fish bladder, and that's fucking gross. Regardless, we're giving you 20% off today. So all you have to do is go to momjuicewine.com, and at the end of your order, put in OnlyMoms as your discount code. And treat yourself, girl.
And so I was like, I'm not really modeling for her realistic behavior.
Oh, that's so good for you to recognize on your own, because I also associated crying with weakness.
Yep, totally.
And so a lot of times I wouldn't want anyone to see me, not even my partners.
Yep.
Like, can't see me cry. It means I'm weak. I felt weak and way too vulnerable to do that publicly in front of anyone, public being one person, right? And it's such a great message to teach our children.
No, I mean, I still feel conflicted at times. Like, very recently, I was crying in front of my daughter, and I always feel a twinge of guilt, but like, at least I'm not completely faking it anymore. And then, the next day, it's like, Mom, are you okay? Yeah, it's a new day. Life goes on. We're going to get our Starbucks. We're going to put our hair in a ponytail, put some hoop earrings on, and keep it moving.
And move.
Yep.
What advice do you have for parents or moms that also struggle with anxiety and depression?
I mean, get help. Yeah. I mean, I think there's still a lot of stigmas around medication, and I just encourage people to like not pick and choose where it's convenient when it comes to your like mental health, in terms of like, if you're going to pop a Tylenol because you have a headache, like, be open to the fact you might need something to help like your brain, deal with life. So I think that that's important. I think also just like being conscious of the effect of social media, because I do think media in general can like really blow up anxiety, and even forms of depression too, just like in terms of like worrying about what's going on in the world, feeling like you're not good enough, this and that. Like, it can just spin my wheels.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It spins everyone's wheels, even if you don't struggle with those things. I feel like it is another layer of pressure that we didn't, have growing up, that now we are witnessing as adults. And attempting to parent through that is really tough.
Oh my God, I feel so bad for these kids. I'm very controlling about social media. Like, finally gave her a phone at 12, and I'm like, no social media, but she somehow got Pinterest and YouTube, and I decided to like just put 30-minute limits on each of those. But in terms of anything else, I won't let her do it. But I caught her FaceTiming with her best friend, and now you can like screen share easily. And so they were scrolling through I think it was TikTok. And I was just like, I told myself, I was like, look, still it's minimizing it. Even if she's screen sharing with somebody, it's still different than her having her own account. But like, it's real and it's part of today's day and age. Like, I don't judge other moms who let their 12-year-old have TikTok, but it's just like, for me, I don't think she's ready for that.
Yeah. It's interesting because you're hitting an age where you have to pick and choose. Is this something that I continue to be this strict on? You know, because as they become teenagers, then they start to lie.
Totally.
They hide it. And it doesn't mean like your kid is a liar, but we both are moms of girls.
Yeah.
Teenage girls.
Yeah.
And I do feel like it's like there's a weird line that you dance between of like, okay,
totally,
I want to be your friend and I want to know about these things and I want to talk about it, but then I also want to be your mom, and like this is a hard no.
Yeah, like I told her you can't have a boyfriend until you're 15 or 16. Mind you, I had none of these rules growing up. I was like bad as shit. But and then I was just like listening to our conversations. Of course, all her friends have little boyfriends of the week, this and that. So I was like, you know what, Rosie, how about this? You can have a school boyfriend. You want a boyfriend at school to go on dates with to the cafeteria or the little like playground bench? Like, call them whatever you want to call them. Just know like the buck stops there. You won't be like seeing them outside of school. You can talk on the phone, because I knew if I'm like, you can't have a boyfriend, she's just gonna lie. Like, she doesn't call whoever she wants her boyfriend. And so she immediately got a boyfriend, and now she was
she had him lined up.
Oh God,
ready.
lined up. Ben was lined up. And but now, you know, it's fun. She shares things with me, and I feel like we have a good relationship, you know?
Yeah. What do you think is the hardest part about raising a preteen or a teenager? What have you guys struggled with?
What do I struggle with? I mean, probably for her being entitled and being appreciative, you know, like from a financial aspect, like just have done really well, and she's reaped the benefits of that, of like having housekeepers and nannies and flying first class, and, you know, it's like whatever she wants, she gets. And so she doesn't really get that excited about stuff that I want her to. And so having to undo a little bit of that, plus just like being as busy as I would just do everything for her because it's easier than teaching her. And that's doing her a huge disservice too. So now that I've quit my job, there's just been like some habits that I've been working to reverse.
Do you have any pointers for that? Like, I know one of the things that I do with our daughter, it's like, you know, she's very privileged, same situation. And it takes a whole day, but for her school clothes shopping, giving her a budget, like actually giving her the cash. And we have to go to every damn store in the mall for her to sit and like pick and choose. And it's like they're all black leggings, but now she gets to go see the price of the ones at Lulu, Athleta, Old Navy, right, wherever it is. And her making those financial decisions, I felt like it really helped her learn the value of the dollar. Do you have any things
I think that's
a
great idea. I mean, right now we're in a good place about shopping because she's really into thrifting. So
that's fun.
That's been a lot easier. But I just would say, I mean, like cleaning, I make her do all her own laundry. She can't get on her phone unless her room is clean by 8 o'clock. Like, there's just like little rules. Also, I know this sounds horrible, but like her bathroom is clean for her. And so I make sure every summer that she deep cleans her bathroom, because I don't want her to show up to college and be that roommate who doesn't know how to clean baseboards or like what it really takes to like deep clean a bathroom. And so little stuff like that. But she also gets straight A's. She's really respectful. And so I also try to let her know a lot of things that happen for her are because she's doing the right things.
Yes, I agree. And I definitely try to change the the things that they're allowed to have or get or do based on their grades. You know, they know if something falls
Totally, yeah.
on the grades, then
We have
it's
this
a no.
thing where if she gets straight A's in all her core classes, which is 4 classes, she gets $400. If she does not get straight A's, then she gets $20 an A. So it's like such a huge difference between like one and the other.
Yeah.
So
I like that. Do you make her clean her room before the cleaning lady comes?
To a degree, yeah. I mean, and she keeps her room pretty clean now. She's gotten a lot more. I really dove into helping her manage her ADHD when I quit my job or resigned or retired or whatever it is. And luckily she, like, a lot of that work paid off, and now she's pretty good about like wanting to keep her stuff clean.
So you both have ADHD.
Yep. And it is genetic.
Wow.
Yep.
Did you see it in her pretty quickly?
Immediately. Like at like 1 year old, she would like get these blank stares and like be like off in the distance.
You're like, come back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What kind of help or communication to her around her ADD?
Well, I was so scared to deal with it because I felt like if I got her diagnosed, which I knew she was going to have it, either one, she would feel really bad about herself, or two, she would use it as a crutch and then be like, when she did bad, it'd be like, well, what do you expect? I have ADHD,
right.
You know? And so, but then her teachers just kept being like, you need to deal with this. You need to deal with this.
Okay.
And then I was like scared. I didn't want to do the medicine thing, but got her diagnosed, came out. It wasn't like mild or moderate. It was like severe. And we ended up exploring medication, but she had a hard time with it, like really losing weight or hurting her stomach. And then I ended up hiring a tutor who specialized in ADHD. And I discovered that, like dogs, children, like she really responds to positivity. And so the better she did in her classes, the more she would tune in and the more she would try. And so just like having her with more hands-on help helps her not tune out so much. And so she's not on any medicine right now because she's getting straight A's, but I'm always open to it if she feels like she needs it.
Yeah. I like that you talk openly about being hesitant because I feel like a lot of us moms, when we see something, we're the first ones to notice shit in our children.
Totally.
And I feel like we need to take our gut reaction and act on it, or at least start getting that education and doing the research on what it would look like. And because oftentimes we're hesitant or we're like, yeah, I see this, but that's not real.
Yeah, no,
I love that. I think this is a good time for us to pause and take a cheers to raising teenage daughters.
Oh gosh, we need like a couple bottles for that.
I know. I have more at home. We can head there later. We are sipping on MomJuice Rosé.
This is my favorite.
Is it?
Yeah,
and of course you've tried all of them.
Yeah, all of them. But
why is it your favorite? What notes are you getting?
Like a little bit floral. It's like not too sweet. I just like it.
Yeah, she just likes it.
I just like it.
It could be a little more chilled. I feel like I had it chilled all morning, and then the drive here, it's so damn hot. And
I will take
Charlotte.
alcohol any which way.
Let's dive into co-parenting.
Yeah.
Tell us about.
I need have you guys seen the Sierra interview? Wait,
No.
let's do it again. Okay, do that.
Let's talk about co-parenting.
You've never seen that?
No, but we're gonna remake that.
When she was asked about co-parenting with Future, and all she does is just laugh for like super long.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
We're going to replay. We'll back that one up. I think, so for our listeners, Rachel is a teenage mom, but also has a new son.
I would love to have been a teenager. Do you consider 29 a teenage mom?
No.
So wait, according to you, that's great. I'm only, instead of 43, I'm 33. Yes.
Rachel is a mother of a teenager, but you also have a 2 year. Is he
will
be
2 in September.
Okay. And I want to dive into that a bit later about parenting the opposite because I'm doing the same thing. Let's peel back the onion on co-parenting and Rosie's dad specifically.
Yeah.
What was that experience like for you? I know that you used to like bad boys.
Yeah. No, he was the ultimate bad boy. You know, out of respect for my daughter, you know, I don't want to tell all his business, but I'll just put it this way. He was he was really good looking, really quiet, 6'6", but definitely very, very different backgrounds. And so we were together off and on for some years, but really dysfunctional relationship. And then I ended up getting pregnant, ended up finding out in the middle of the pregnancy that he had a baby while we were together.
Oh.
And so ultimately had her on my own. Like, I took her home from the hospital by myself because it was just such a toxic situation. And trying to navigate that has been one of the most painful and hard situations in my life, because it's just has not been so simple to make the decision of, like, I'm going to cut him out of her life completely. I'm going to take every measure to erase him, which you really can't, but I could have tried harder, or I'm going to try to co-parent. And I have really, really tried to, very often at my own demise, in terms of didn't date for a long time, almost like out of unhealthy dynamics with him, being intimidated and this and that. And knowing he probably wasn't going to be easy to deal with for my new partner, which that has been the case, you know what I mean? And then just also there was a lot of just kind of being around him while she was there so I could control the situation and feel that the environment was what it needed to be.
That's one thing people don't understand about co-parenting. And I feel like if you're walking into a situation where you would find yourself there, it's that you really are letting go of control. And for people that are a bit of control freaks like us, especially when it comes to your children, you can't control what happens with that other parent, how they parent them, what the rules are at their home. It truly is.
Well, I did until now, and it came, I was like suffered and denied myself relationships and just was around him and his chaos and negativity because I was like, okay, I had this baby. This is her dad, and I do want them to have a relationship, but I don't necessarily want them completely alone together. You know what I mean? So it's been very complicated. And then I would cover for him so much. And so out of all his kids, they have kind of one of the best relationships. And I think a lot of it is, I just really wanted her to see him in the best light. But just if there's any advice I can give is I think, you never speak negatively of the other parent to the child, but I also think you really are doing a disservice by covering for them, because then you create a false identity, which they're only going to be let down from in the future. And so it's been a lot of learning lessons. I can tell you that, they're in a good place. Like, we are now on a visitation schedule, and he seems to have a great girlfriend, and he seems a lot more stable, but I still just don't know, and I really have had to give it to God.
Yeah. It's interesting. My mom also was really good at not talking poorly of my father, which I told you before we started filming that I didn't meet my dad until I was 11. He had a whole nother family. And it was, right, like, it was great because she wasn't putting these negative thoughts into my head. But then part of me, as I got older and I'm really going through the daddy issues, I'm like, I need someone to talk shit with. Like, I really don't like this motherfucker right now. And you telling me that he's a good person, we were just this and that, like, that's not doing it for me. And I don't fault my mom. I think she made the right decision not to talk poorly about my dad while I was growing up. And I had to figure that out on my own. But there is
it's a fine line. So where I'm at with it now, and luckily I feel so much better because her stepfather, my husband, is such an amazing father to her, is that when she does complain about her real dad, maybe making some selfish moves, I do tell her, I'm like, I know your dad loves you. Does he love you the way you need to be loved and deserve? Maybe not. You know what I mean? I think that you know the answer to that. You know what I mean? So I try to
just validate
affirm her feelings
Mhm.
while not talking shit. But it's it's
Yeah,
so damn difficult.
Inside of your heart, you're like, yeah.
But I mean, do you know how much guilt and how much like forgiveness I've had to like work on bringing to myself? Like the thing that I love the most in the whole entire world is my kids.
Mhm.
So to bring in a parent that is not A++ makes me feel like shit. But all I can do is remind myself in a lot of things that I'm working through right now is that like I did the best that I could with who I was then and the information I had then. And it is what it is.
I mean, you did really well for, you know, the situation. And being able to build something for yourself while being a single mom and navigating that whole co-parenting situation, you're a beast.
Well, honestly, a lot of people don't realize this because I did launch my med spa before I met him, before I became a single mom. But I became a single mom like year 3 or 4 into my med spa and before I launched my product line, which is really, you know, kind of where I got most of my success from. Mm-hmm. And it was like, I really kind of ended up with a chip on my shoulder after him. I was so tired of all these motherfucking men just doing me so dirty.
Yeah.
And I was like, it was a little bit like, let me show them. And then it was like, I was stuck at home every night after 8 being a single mom. And so I had nowhere to go but to be on social media, DMing every single makeup artist, hairstylist, celebrity saying, let me send you free products. So it was like, you know, it was really kind of bittersweet. Like it really fueled me to go so hard.
Oh, I love that. Now we know where the fire came from.
A lot of it came from, I mean, definitely like a lot of recognition for a huge disparity that really bothered me. Mm-hmm. But in terms of like, you can want to provide a solution, but only go so hard providing the solution.
Yeah.
Like I went a million times over because I was just like in beast mode. Like, you know, I'm going to show the freaking world.
Yeah, you had something to prove.
I really did.
I'm so happy you did that.
Thank you.
Do you have any advice or tips for being present when you're so busy, overworked? Like it's all the things, right? Building a business, single parenting. What is your advice to be present with your kids?
Don't ever charge your phone at night. And then it constantly runs out of batteries throughout the day. And then you can be present because your phone is always out of battery.
Like, it was God. He said I should spend time with my kids right
now. ADHD has allowed me to be a better parent. No, but I mean, like, I fall short a lot of places in terms of my phone and social media and being present. But I also really try to like fight that battle. And so like I have this rule for myself, which I've told you before, like I can be talking to anybody. Mm-hmm. And it's like the second I hit my back porch, it's like I'm about to walk in my house, I gotta go. Because I want my kids when I walk in the door to feel like they're not competing with anything. Like mommy is here to see you.
Yep.
You know? And then also like getting on their level a lot more. Like I noticed with Rosie, I would try to spend quality time with her by bringing her to do things I thought she would enjoy.
Yeah.
And then I like learned like she wanted to sit next to me and show me how she built her Roblox houses. Yeah. And she wanted to show me her Shein cart and like not really get a pedicure or manicure. And not that like for some girls that's how but like, so getting on their level and being present without your phone, I think is really important. Also family meals, which I'm still struggling with. Like I'm not the best at family meals. And if I can even get like 3 in a week, I feel like that's really important.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you on that. Yep. I'm big on family meals and having that sit down dinner.
Yeah.
It's so important. And as they get older, they get used to it. And that's almost like your time to reconnect at the end of the day. I feel like especially with the amount that we travel. Yeah. You know, like reground everything.
Totally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And yeah, Rachel did give me that advice right after I gave birth. I was like, Rach, I can't figure it out. Where's the balance? And she's like, this is the one piece of advice. And it is. As soon as I'm done working, it's like, okay, no later than 5:30, I'm putting this phone down for an hour, and whatever happens during that hour, you guys are going to have to wait.
Totally. And I mean, another thing is we have not talked about my son at all. And for the record, which always feels so insane, I am not working and I have a nanny 50 hours a week.
Yeah.
And I could not feel like a more present and tired mom with him because Emil, bless his heart, super smart. But like right now, as of yesterday, I think he has a black eye.
He is so rough.
He is just like, he is a stereotypical wild, energetic boy times 10.
Yeah.
Times freaking 10.
It's funny because Rachel just came back from a trip. And every time Rachel comes back from a trip, she messages me that she's no longer traveling with him.
And I barely travel with him. And
yeah, that he's not even allowed to go to the beach. Like, he is cut off.
Yeah, he's just like, he's so smart and so sweet, but he's just so energetic and so rough. And so it's a lot. It's a lot experiencing that at 43. But yeah, it's like me and my nanny were changing his diaper together. Like on a regular basis, it's like it takes two people to change his diaper. It takes two people to freaking feed him.
Yeah.
Or else he'll just like do crazy shit. It's crazy.
How is it parenting a teenager and then parenting
It's hard because
a toddler?
It's nothing. There's nothing in common they can do together. And so it's like, you know, a typical day is like in the morning, I'm with him and his nanny. I'm like doing stuff with him, and then 1:45 I drive to go get her, and then I'm doing all of her stuff.
Yeah.
And it's very like I can't go to the park with both of them. She's such like a preteen or really even like a teenager, and she's a really good sister, but she's not like that's my baby. She's like past that point of like, oh, I want this little baby. She's just sweet to him, like she can watch him and be safe, but she like doesn't want to be his babysitter. And so it's like constantly just changing gears, and it can be exhausting.
It is.
But I feel like I have the nanny with him so that I can be so present with him, and we can also make sure he doesn't get hurt.
Yeah. I agree. It's when you're momming teenagers and then momming a toddler, it's momming times 2, right? Just today, it was like trying to schedule a play date for the toddler, and then also the twins are on a college visit, and it's completely different worlds.
It is. Yeah. There's no, and I know all of this sounds so pretentious and so like first world problems, but at the end of the day, you know, I worked really hard. I didn't want any more kids. I told my younger husband, you know, if having another baby is a deal breaker, you know, I'll do it. But even if I retire from my job, I want a full-time nanny. And I thought it was going to be because I was going to be off drinking champagne and like getting my eyelashes done. And really all it's allowing me to do is actually just be better and keep him from getting hurt, and then also concentrate on helping my other daughter at the same time.
No, I agree. I love our dynamics because we're complete opposite, right? Whereas I'm the step parent and the younger wife, and
I'm the old wife.
No, you are not the old wife.
And the baby's mama.
No, you're crazy.
Old baby's mama.
Did Javin tell you that was a non-negotiable? He needed you to have a baby? Mm-hmm. And you didn't think twice after that?
No, it was a big deal. I was very like having Rosie and going through the things I went through with her father and being that single mom without the money and like the full-time nanny was like traumatizing. I was so effing tired. I was so burnt out, and so really did not want to do it again. But I could not imagine my life without Emil. I mean, thank God he is as wild as he is, because Javin doesn't want another one now.
Oh,
we were actually just talking about like if God came to us and was like, I'm going to give you the easiest baby that sleeps the best and you're going to have a good pregnancy, would you do it again? Of course. Like I would do it again because I love being a mom, but like that's not what's going to happen. Right. So nope, we're done.
Nope, we're done. Oh my gosh. And my husband, you know, he, before meeting me, had told everyone he was never having kids again. And then he did not hesitate when I was like, no, I need at least one.
Oh,
He was like, yeah,
because he loves you.
let's do it. What do you admire about Javin as a stepdad?
Oh gosh, how selfless he is. Like he like wants, like Rosie is his child. Like you can't tell him anything else, and he will spend his last dollar and drive his last mile to do anything for her. Like, is he a perfect parent? No, but does he treat her just like she is his own? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's a fun dad. We parent differently because we have very different upbringings, you know. I'm very like politically correct, don't want to screw them up, don't want to say any like, you know, he might be like, you're being lazy. And I'm like, don't call her lazy. You're messing up her self-esteem.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, so we just like he's like, you know, from East St. Louis and I'm from Chico, California. So it's just very different.
Did you, when you started dating again, you know, you jump back into the dating world with a different set of standards. Now you have a daughter, right? Like, what's that going to look like? Could you had imagined what you wanted the stepfather of Rosie to look like?
Yeah, it was just like him.
Yeah.
I mean, to this day, we do not have a perfect relationship. We have problems. You know what I mean? And I would say on those days that I'm like, yep, I'm calling the lawyer. It's like, he is such a good dad. You know what I mean? And of course, there's more things about him I love than that. But like, I would say like the thing that by far like makes me forgive or makes me tolerate is what a great father he is.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. If you have a baby daddy or husband that is a great dad, they get so much more leeway.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's sexy.
Yeah, no, I mean, we went half on this baby. When I tell you every other morning we switch, every other bath we switch. It's like,
that's great.
Yeah, he puts him to sleep at night, and that's not an easy feat. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we went half, and I go out of town, and he watches him. It's not like I'm like, oh, I got to get the nanny and this and that. Like, he can do it all. Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah.
Do you feel like when you told Rosie you were pregnant, was that a conversation before?
So I had wrote it to her. I had found out I was pregnant while I was planning my wedding. It was a unplanned pregnancy. And so I had made these like bridesmaid boxes, and she was my maid of honor. And so I ended up writing a card to her that was in her box saying that she was going to be a big sister. Yeah, but I was really nervous, and she handled it so well. She was disappointed that it was not a girl, but
okay.
You know, she's handled everything so well. Like, even at times, like, we've been together for 5 years, and I feel like there's been times where Javin's been hard on her and, you know, really ordering her around and this and that. And some kids will be like, Mom, like, he's irritating me, or tell him to leave me alone. Like, she takes it on the chin. There's never like, who is this guy? Or like, oh, why do you have another baby? She is like, she might feel like that in her mind, but she doesn't express it.
Yeah. In the step-parent community, it's called an ours child. And of course, before becoming a stepmom, I didn't know all of this. But I also had this huge pit of anxiety in me, you know, even talking about having a baby with the teenage kids.
Yeah.
You know, and the boys wanted us to have a baby. Even before we got married, they were like, so can you have a baby?
Yeah.
And I was like, there's steps that we should probably take, right? But our daughter was so against it.
Was she?
Very against it. Telling her she attempted to act happy because
was this because your age, or was it something else? Or
one of the things, like the sentences that she said that would haunt me before us trying to get pregnant was, I don't want to live in a house with a baby. You know, and I understood that, right? It's inconvenient, it's loud, it's probably messy, it's not what you want. You're in high school trying to live your life. But I was like, I also give so much to this family. Like, this is the one thing I want. And so I wondered what Rosie's response was and how you handled
it so gracefully. In our house, we're building a new home, but one of the things I hate about our house the most, her room is right next to his. And he is the lightest sleeper, and getting him to go to sleep is very difficult. And so I'm talking like, she can do the most normal thing, just like lightly shut her door and it's too loud. And like, I'm constantly like, be quiet, the baby's asleep. And like, don't open your closet door while he's sleeping. And like, you just did it. And she's like, she's never like, I'm miserable here. Or she's always like, okay.
Yeah.
So she's a
love
good
that.
girl. Yeah.
Our daughter, of course, turned a corner, especially when she found out we were having a girl. And now they're best friends.
No.
You know, that I also have the similar situation of like, just, I'll come downstairs and I start talking. They're like, shh. Yeah. She's sleeping. I'm like, oh my God, okay.
I'm so excited to not do that. I'm just praying. I just like, I'm building a bunk bedroom in the basement literally for my daughter because I want her to have all her friends over and scream and like jump up and down and Emil be asleep and me just like not worry about anything.
We strategically built the nursery
in a quiet place.
Yes. It's connected to the master suite so that we're downstairs, baby's downstairs. We're the ones that are inconvenienced and have to be quiet.
Yeah. While
the kids are upstairs and they can live their best lives.
That's awesome.
So I get where you're coming from with that. Okay. No, that's great. I'm so happy that, and it sounds like too, her not pushing back on Javin, it's a respect thing.
Yeah, she is very respectful.
But he also, puts forth the effort to be a good dad.
He does. And she sees that.
Yes. Yeah. And they do. And I think that a lot of people, don't give kids enough credit. They see who you're dating. They see the partner you're bringing home. They see the effect it has on you. They see their efforts that are put in when you're there and not there towards them and building a family. And so I feel like that's totally a respect thing. And that's something we should applaud Javin on, that she doesn't push back because she knows that he's there for her as a father figure.
He is. And he's like not the type of guy that's like in the streets. And I'm like, why are you never home at night? Like he's always at home.
I don't want to beat a dead horse.
You're fine. Beat the horse.
But let's beat the horse. I feel like there was a moment in your career where you would have seen it in the media. Everyone is calling you a racist.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I want to, again, get that mother point of view. You're being called a racist while raising.
It was a lot of it. I would say it was like 30%. It was a lot. It was like racist, cultural appropriator. Then there was like, there's a term, I think it's called white savior, where it's like, so for anybody who's not familiar with Urban Skin RX specializes in melanin-rich skin. And so because I saw a need that was not being met, there was a huge disparity, not just in dermatology, but in like skin and laser treatments, more cosmetic. I was like, this is unjust. This affects so many people that I love. Like, let me tackle this. And where that white savior term comes in is just like, it's easy for me to do that because being Caucasian, I have like the privilege and the financial means to like be able to fill that need. And then I can take the glory of like, hey, I saved black skin. You know what I mean? And that does make like a lot of sense to me, but at the end of the day, I think choosing to be an ally of the melanin-rich community, and even more specifically, like the African-American community, you, again, like we've talked about throughout this show, it's like very hard to figure out a little bit, like, where do you stand? Because if I choose to ignore that disparity, I'm wrong and I'm part of the problem. And then it's like, if I choose to like fill it, I also am taking away somebody else, opportunity. Luckily my perspective is there was enough opportunity for a lot of people because there's still such huge disparities as it relates to treating the needs of deeper skin tones, that I think that there's enough for a lot of people to try to participate in that. But it was, God, I mean, that and the situation with my child's father, I would say was the two hardest things I've ever gone through in my life. And to this day, I think changed me in good ways and bad ways.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're being called a racist, but you're raising a biracial daughter.
Which, was very interesting. So a lot of things kind of like led up to that really huge moment. But there was an Instagram exchange with a woman who I knew, which I think a lot of people didn't know that we knew each other.
Yeah.
Had called me out on her platform. It was like right after the George Floyd murder and a lot of rioting going on. I'm like within that week, and was just like, you know, basically decided to use her platform to call out people that she felt like was part of the problem. And she basically said, you know, here's this girl in the Charlotte community making all this money off of us and not doing anything for us. And so and then she said that I lied about my kids being Black.
Okay, ladies, we've got an exciting sponsor for this episode, Tend Prenatal. If you're pregnant or planning to be, Tend Prenatal has you covered with their delicious, snackable prenatal vitamins made entirely from whole foods. No more choking down pills. Just grab a 10 bar and know you're getting all the essential nutrients your body and baby need. And because we love you, we're teamed up with Tend to offer you 15% off any order with the code ONLYMOMS. That's ONLYMOMS at tendprenatal.com. Happy snacking. This episode is sponsored by Bayou Skincare. All right, where are all of my frustrated eczema people? This product is specifically for you. If you suffer with angry scalp concerns, seriously, they have you covered. You need to check out Bayou Skincare. They're an award-winning product line where the probiotics and the Bayou herbs are combined to really soothe itchy scalp, improve skin textures, retain hair growth, and restore your skin confidence. The founder has scalp dermatitis herself, and she truly knows your pain. And I'm telling you, if one of your children or you suffer from this, you know how hard it is. The confidence, the itchiness, it's so uncomfortable. Anyways, they have leave-in treatments, shampoo, conditioner, and even facial products. You can get 20% off one-time purchases and subscriptions. So this is an Only Moms special. Use code BAYFORMOMS20! You can learn more and shop the entire line at baysbayouskinar.com. And we're going to link all of that in the show notes because I know it's a lot. Oh.
And so I deal with negativity in social media all the time, and I've been trained through professional PR to obviously ignore it.
Yeah.
But there was something about bringing up my kids that was like, I can't ignore this. You know, and my Javin sat there and he read it and he's like, don't answer back. And I was just like,
yeah,
I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
I can't not.
You know?
She said this about my kids. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Did Rosie know what was happening?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was a huge thing in my life. I don't think I could eat or drink for 3 days. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it was like, it's just, you know, for me, being called a racist is like being called a pedophile, you know, and then I have investors behind my company and they were really trying to dictate the way I responded, and I should have never responded. And so I was second guessing myself when people started telling me how to handle it from there on out. I started listening to everybody and to this day, I actually wish I would have kind of like publicly responded to what I was being accused of. But at that point, I was letting other people tell me. And it was just like, just let it go. So I never really publicly have talked about it.
I was actually shocked that you didn't give a public response.
I know. I will. This thing. Of course,
I didn't know you well enough. This thing was
like written and that was posted, you know. But there was a lot of things like, you know, it was a hot freaking mess. But
what did Rosie? Did she give any insight?
Yeah, she felt horrible for me. I mean, obviously, she knows that like probably 2/3 of my bestest friends, who I consider my sisters, are Black. My children are Black. I have an uncle who's Black. Like, you know, she knows that that's not me. I think she knows a lot of the kind of philanthropic things that I do for the Black community. So she felt really bad for me, Yeah.
Yeah. Rosie's really in tune with you. By the way, when I picked her up from volleyball that time and you were going through it in Paris, I was like, how's your mom? And she's like, man, she's going through it.
Yeah.
She is getting everything bad handed to her. And so it was so cute because she's like, and this and this. And I'm like, oh God, girl. All right. We have to have one final conversation, and mostly because you're so open about Ozempic and the wave of what's happening of everyone taking Ozempic and looking and living their best lives, which I applaud all the women in confidence and like support whatever makes that person confident. But raising daughters, especially teenage daughters, where they are seeing these things, I wanted to talk about your experience as a mother. You've been open to getting on Ozempic yourself.
Mounjaro. Mounjaro, which is a trizep. It's in that class of like diabetes weight loss shots, but it is not Ozempic. So part of the reason why I was referred to the Center for Anxiety and OCD is body dysmorphia is actually categorized in OCD, and a doctor that I was going to for antidepressants started feeling like I had mild body dysmorphia. Like, it doesn't keep me from leaving the house. Like, I can still walk out of the house looking like shit. Like, I'm not putting on makeup for 10 hours a day. But, like, I think I'd be lying to myself if I'd said I do not have some issues there for sure. And I have tried so freaking hard to hide it from my daughter. Like, because I can just beat myself up. Like, my skin is terrible. But this, I'm ugly. I look like shit today. Like, Javin will be like, you look good. I'm like, no, I don't.
Yeah. What glasses are you
I
using,
have
right?
not wanted to carry that on to her. And have I done a perfect job? No.
Right.
I'd say I've accomplished like 75% of the goal. And it's getting harder now that she's getting older. She does not know, I think, that I've taken Mounjaro, but it has been in our refrigerator. And she asked about a Mounjaro commercial. So Rosie Javin always tells me she's so much smarter.
She probably knows, Rachel.
She probably freaking does know.
Yeah.
But I'm just trying the best that I can. But I love Mounjaro. I think it's life-changing. It has like really freed up a lot of space in my head in terms of like, I was always so concerned with this like 10, 20 pounds and just it was consuming so much of my life.
It is.
And it's like
so many people don't understand because I had an
food
eating
noise,
disorder. That it just
weight noise.
It's in there and it lives there and it is, you're paying rent to it every single month. Like it's a big wedge. So I can see how that could be helpful. What if Rosie came to you someday and wanted to be on that for a weight loss reason? Would you encourage?
Yeah, I think it's the best thing. Like, I think it's like all these people that have all these issues with it can kiss my ass. Like, I think it's like Tylenol. I think it's like, Lexapro. I think it's an amazing solution to a problem. I mean, that's being like, she didn't just gain, like if she was displaying that she had like long issues with like eating, obesity, things like that. But I'm like, I don't know. I think it's a great drug. I don't really have a lot to say about it.
If she were to come to you and ask you why she saw it in the refrigerator, have you panned out what that conversation would look like? Yeah,
because I mean, I think I'm at this like crossroads of, I think I have been lying to her about some different like cosmetic things, relationship things, dad things. And I think it is time for me to start becoming a little bit more clean with her, but it's a fine line. And I probably would be like, look, I was carrying extra weight and got pregnant with Emil and wanted to feel really good on my wedding day, and this is what is considered a safe solution, and I chose to take it, and I don't regret it.
Yeah, but I like the honesty, and there is a point when they're old enough to receive information like that, depending on the topic, right? It's very topic dependent on when we start exposing them to the truth of some things, and I think honesty is the best answer
One
here.
of my favorite things about my mother was she was really solution oriented about like my skin. I had terrible acne.
Yeah.
I had a lot of issues. And she wasn't like, your skin is terrible, but she was like, I'm going to make this a priority to help you. And Rosie had a lot of skin problems. And at a very young age, she went through puberty, got her period at like 9. And I am not like, when I notice a huge pimple on her face, I'm not like, oh my gosh, her face is breaking out. But I also am like, you know, when she talks about like, I'm like, yeah, we're going to try this and try that. Okay, that's not working. I think it's time we go to the dermatologist.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm keeping my mouth shut in like on a daily, weekly basis, but I'm also being like solution oriented as well. I mean, another example I could give is she had some erosion of her enamel on her teeth where it like looks kind of stained and splotchy. And she admitted to me that she's very self-conscious about it. And so I don't feel like she's being unreasonable at this age. And I was like, well, it's not that bad, but I do see what you're talking about and we can consult with the dentist. And after a couple of trips, it's like they basically have said the only thing to fix it is veneers. And I'm like, okay, Rosie, you are too young for veneers, but we can talk about it again when you're 16. Some people would be like, 16, why not 18? Why not 21? And that's like, if it's still really bothering her at 16 and it's definitely, you can see it, and she seems to be a well-rounded, high self-esteem person, I'd probably let her freaking do it.
I think my mom let me get my belly button pierced when I was in 7th grade. You know, like,
you turned out good.
And here I am.
Look at you now,
like,
girl.
I also took the piercing out. It's not even there anymore. I outgrew it.
Yeah.
But, you know, like there's some things that my mom was super strict. And then like, she's like that. She's like, all right, you got straight A's. I guess I promised it to you when I was drunk. So I'm going to stick to my truth.
You know, there's not a rule book to parenting.
No, there's not. Rachel, thank you so much for being on today. I do want you to quickly tell everyone where they can find you. And we didn't get time to dive into your mentorship for entrepreneurs, but tell them where they can go to to see specifics on what you're offering.
Go to therachelroff.com. I do offer paid coaching, which is more focused on what not to do than what to do. Plus, I'm not a gatekeeper. I give a lot of resources to people. But you can also book a free 15 to 20-minute appointment where you just bring like 1 to 3 questions, and I call it a mentor moment. And I mean, you can ask me anything and I'll try my best to like help you, give you an answer for free.
I love that. Yeah. Cheers to what's next. And thank you for coming on today.
Thank you.
Yes.